Hello, friends, it's Phil, and today on episode 224, I will be highlighting the significance of the spring bounce and magpies. So, here's the thing. If you've been listening to the podcast, I love saying that, by the way, over the last few weeks, you will know that not too long ago there was snow on the ground. It was pretty cold, and with, let's say, 19 years of experience, I can tell you, I think this has been one of the longest, coldest, wettest winters ever. Not the coldest, but it's been cold and wet for the most prolonged period of time. But there's a thing, right, about the seasons. And if you don't live in part of the world that has the 4 seasons, let's say like the UK, the spring, summer, autumn, winter, where they're very, very evident, be it to some extent the longevity of the seasons is changing a bit, but you'd argue actually over the 19 years the seasons have been different over the years, particularly summers. But anyway, where am I going? It's been cold, and it's been damp, and it's been wet, and it's been brilliant weather for growing moss, for reference. But today, my friends, over the last couple of days, I've been looking out the window going, it looks like things are starting to turn. So, if you're in other parts of the world, you may be in a different season. If you're in other parts of the UK, I'm in North Yorkshire. If you're in other parts of the UK, your season will have been way ahead of ours. Your wisteria will be blooming by now, and your cherry blossom will have probably finished, and your magnolias will have finished as well. But up here, it's only just happening. And actually, as a little footnote, while I think about it, is that there aren't very many magnolias up in North Yorkshire. Not as many as there are down in, let's say, northwest London, where I originate from. But look, what's been happening over the last few days is, in no particular order, there's been a thing in the sky called the sun. And it's been sunny, but warm. The sun has. But also the other thing that's become much more evident, because the heating in the house hasn't been really on for about 3 weeks now, is that sun is warm, as opposed to bright. It's definitely warm. And in the past week, a lot of plants, particularly trees actually, that hang around a bit, some species of trees hang around a bit with their budding. They budded and leafed, if that's the right way of saying things. So it's become really, really sort of evident that spring is finally here after a bit of a long winter and a bit of a slow start. It's definitely here. Temperatures are up, day temperatures are up, ground temperatures are up, grass is growing, trees are growing, plants are growing, weeds are growing. But look, there's one thing that happens in spring that I'm very aware of. I call it the spring bounce. Now, there's a period of spring when temperatures, sun, warmth all kind of culminate together to create this, like, where did the grass come from experience. It bangs out of the ground, literally centimeters a day, if not 2 centimeters a day. And I call it the spring bounce. And The thing that's a bit challenging when the spring bounce appears, it happens, particularly if you're a bit behind on the grass cutting length, let's say, is the spring bounce can also coincide, not that it is this year, but it can also coincide with April showers. And actually, cutting healthy, dense grass when it's a bit too long with showers and rain is actually really difficult. Really difficult. And that makes the spring bounce a bit of a green hand gang kind of experience. But look, when the spring bounce has bounced, and actually the spring bounce has come now on the 8th of May, it really signifies the start of a procession towards the peak of the season to some extent. So, what this usually indicates from a grass care point of view, from a lawn care point of view, from a cutting grass perspective, and also probably grass playing field conditions, cricket, golf, stuff like that, is there's about 6 to 8 weeks before the grass probably starts to become really stressed with the heat of the summer. 6 to 8 weeks. That's all it is. We've got 6 to 8 weeks of steady, continuous growth, and then it will probably get to a point where the lawns will burn out just at the end of kind of July into early August, typically, depending on the season. And then there's a few weeks before the lawns start to recover again. So it's kind of a period to reflect slightly, really. The bounce is here. That's the boom, we're into spring. But the bounce starts the clock to the end of summer. My friends. So look, if you haven't cut your grass yet, if you haven't got ahead of it, best to do it, because I can definitely predict that if it's warming up and the grass is bolting up, there is a strong likelihood that the rains will come. And there'll be certain days when you won't be able to cut the grass. Or in my case, there'll be certain days when cutting the grass is harder. Or certainly getting the right length of cut is harder. But look, if no one's ever told you this about grass cutting in wet conditions, if you have someone like me that on particular occasions may leave the grass slightly longer than you'd expect, there's a reason for everything. So, regular grass cutting has to be done all the way through the year. But there are some times when the conditions don't allow for the perfect cut. The best thing that can be done, and the thing that most people will try and do, is clip off the growth. Stop the growth of the top leaf. That's the most important thing. Not cut it down to length. That can always happen when the conditions are better. But most importantly, just clip off the top leaf. Anyway, look, welcome to the spring bounce, everyone. 8th of May, 2023, North Yorkshire, it's here. And if you're listening to this somewhere else in the world and you're expecting the spring bounce, or you've had the spring bounce, or you're in summer, or whichever season you're in, why don't you leave me a message or drop a comment, whichever channel you're listening to this podcast on, and tell me how the season's going or how the season's gone. I'd love to know. I'd love to know. Anyway, look, thanks for listening, dear friends. I'm off now, I think, to go and cut a few lawns because the conditions are perfect. Dry and sunny. Anyway, catch you soon. Ta-da. 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 Bye. 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 Bye, everyone. See ya.